Alright, welcome back everybody to another Culz Reviews episode. Since today is November 22nd, we thought it was only fitting that we check out something related to John F. Kennedy. So we're checking out something much like we did last year with The Final Hours that really kind of looks at that day of November 22nd. So we're checking out Killing Kennedy, the Nat Geo, I guess like docudrama slash TV movie that they made based off the book. Now, before we get into this, obviously it does follow what people call the official story. So if you're looking for conspiracies, it's not going to be your episode. I'm not saying we won't talk the conspiracies at some point, but we are talking about just what's in the movie today. As usual, my name's Keegan. Joining me today is
Sam.
So obviously the basic story that this is telling is, I guess, the parallel lives of Lee Harvey Oswald as well as John F. Kennedy, between, Oswald feeling neglected from everybody. The Soviets didn't want him, the U.S. didn't want him, eventually Cuba didn't want him, so he kind of was, I guess, looking for a home, versus the contrast of Kennedy, where the whole nation was kind of embracing him, maybe not the whole nation, but definitely a lot more people. And then you see the pregnancies, how the familial relationships are going between the two. So it's quite interesting to see the contrast between the two. And obviously it ends on Elm Street, where, in the school book depository, Oswald, shoots Kennedy 3 times with the Carcano rifle. So that's just the basics. If you actually want to find out more, last year, about this time, a little bit later though, we did do a whole episode kind of recreating what happened that day, as far as when he woke up in Fort Worth, and then we traced kind of the past of Oswald, Kennedy, Zapruder, and Ruby. So if you want to check that out, check out JFK Nightmare on Elm Street. Link will appear somewhere over here. And now let's get into it, because I think everyone kind of knows this story. Obviously it's not as
Out there as other ones, because this one's like by the book of what the record shows.
Yeah, there's definitely been JFK movies made, and maybe we'll touch upon them, where they definitely delve into the conspiracies. Eventually, I know once we get further into Blue Book, spoilers, you will see some JFK stuff in there as well, which is quite interesting. Where me and Sam are, I think, the only two that are completely up to date with Blue Book. But yeah, if you guys know anything about that day, I think it's going to go kind of how you expected. Is that pretty fair assessment, I think?
Yeah, I would agree.
So I guess we're going to jump into, much like all the other documentaries, kind of if we took anything away from this. So Sam, what did you take away from watching this episode?
How to the books it is compared to the other ones, I guess.
Yeah, it does follow that pretty good. You see him do all his movements after he shoots Kennedy. He tries to get on a bus, but it's heading back actually towards the depository. He gets off, he gets a taxi, he goes back to his boarding home, and then he's walking around. That's when he shoots Tippett. Then he goes to, the theater, and slaps the cop with the gun, and then he's like, "I'm not resisting arrest." It's like, what did you just do?
Yeah, he tries to fire it, has no bullets, and then hits him with the gun.
It was just, it was like one of the weirdest lines in the movie, I think, was just, it's well made. Nat Geo definitely did a good job. So I think this part we're going to jump into the acting. How do you think acting and how they looked, how do you think everyone did?
I think it was really well. They got a good amount of the characters pretty close to the actual kind of record, or to the actual people's really well cast.
Yeah, as far as the casting goes, obviously you have Rob Lowe as JFK, Jennifer Goodwin as Jackie Kennedy, Will Rother, I think is his name, as Lee Harvey Oswald, and Michelle Trachtenberg as Marina Oswald. And there's obviously more. You see Bobby Kennedy and some of the FBI agents and Jack Ruby and stuff. But definitely those are the 4, like I said earlier, that kind of contrast each other. You have the Kennedys and the Oswalds, and it plays out. And I definitely think Oswald's portrayal was really pretty good. and this one, as well as I did enjoy Rob Lowe as JFK. I'm not saying it's my favorite JFK one, but I thought he did a pretty good job. So now we're going to get into the fun part, ratings, and do we recommend it? So Sam, what do you rate and do you recommend?
I'll give it a 8 out of 10. I thought it was really good. It's worth a watch if you want like the to the T story and don't want to go all conspiracy and like the other things to it. I mean, it still has like shows hints of stuff that you like, I don't know, I guess question, but it is still to the T.
Yeah, and I would probably give it about an 8 out of 10 as well. It's definitely well made, I think, and like I said earlier, well acted. There's just some scenes I think it cuts kind of funny, so I think that's why it kind of brings it down to an 8.
Oh, there's a commercial break in there
Oh,
that
yeah.
is unexpected,
And
but there's only one.
We're watching this, and so most of the commercial breaks are pretty well hidden, I think. You can definitely kind of see the slight fade, but towards the end, it was weird because we were watching it, and all of a sudden it was like, I don't know how much further behind, maybe like 30 seconds even, but we were just like, wait a minute, did we just, like, why did it repeat itself?
No.
And yeah, so definitely one commercial break, but I won't fault it for that. Obviously, I know why they did it. It was a made-for-television movie, and considering that, I do think it was pretty well made.
Yep.
Like Sam said, there's others that delve into different sides of the story, be it Parkland, which is more the story of the doctors when JFK is brought there, and then you have, you know, the JFK story in Project Blue Book. You have the JFK story that, you know, was made with Kevin Costner, which is more about, you know, the trial after, or the one kind of, if you want to call it a trial thing. And then there's obviously the straightforward documentaries, one of which we watched which was a National Geographic one called JFK: The Final Hours, which you can check a review for that, link above. And then, like we said, we did one ourselves, which was, you know, the JFK at Nightmare on Elm Street. Definitely check it out. We try to put as much work and research and just effort into it as we possibly could at the time. And I do think it turned out really well. So I hope you guys check that out. If you guys want to check this out, hey, it's worth a watch. It's not the most terrible thing you could watch. So if you guys want to check out more Culz Reviews, click the link in front of me. If you want to see more about what we're doing here at Culz Paranormal, click the link top left. Again, if you want to see that JFK and Nightmare on Elm Street, click the bottom left. And don't forget to hit that like and give us a subscribe.
And switch that notification bell from personalized to all if you want to be notified on all of our videos.
And let us know, who do you think was the best portrayal of JFK in a movie?